Double quotes. Enough. Double quotes. Lu Xinrui's second slash was halted by Eagle Eye, the very person who had suggested this method of dealing with the perpetrator. Things had escalated far beyond what he had anticipated. To be honest, at first, he did intend to pass this hot potato on to someone else, but he had never meant to force a girl to commit murder. Lu Xinrui still seemed somewhat dazed as she looked up at Eagle Eye, who had stopped her hand. "It's enough," Eagle Eye repeated, taking a deep breath and softening his tone. "It's already enough." The bone knife fell from Lu Xinrui's trembling hand onto the muddy ground. Eagle Eye signaled the doctor with a glance. Double quotes. "Doctor, please stop his bleeding." The doctor pressed his lips together, then stepped forward to tend to the man who lay groaning on the ground. Eagle Eye, along with Yanzi, helped Lu Xinrui back to her seat, leaving Yanzi to look after her while he returned to the leader. As he passed the doctor, he whispered firmly, "You have to save this man." The doctor, frowning, nodded silently. He understood Eagle Eye's intent. It wasn't about mercy for the man, but rather to prevent Lu Xinrui from bearing the weight of a human life on her conscience. It was true that the man had provoked her with foul language and threats, but most people wouldn't see it that way. Everyone had witnessed Lu Xinrui's intent to kill. Whether male or female, old or young, a person capable of impulsive murder would instill fear in others. Moreover, precisely because Lu Xinrui was an underage girl, people might fear her even more. If she was so ruthless now, what would she become in the future? Therefore, the man couldn't die. Preventing his death was crucial to avoid exacerbating the camp's fear of Lu Xinrui, which could lead to her being ostracized or even expelled. Who would want to live with a murderer, even if it was under extenuating circumstances? Furthermore, even if she killed in a moment of passion, could Lu Xinrui come to terms with having taken a life once she calmed down? For all these reasons, the man couldn't die. Yet, the doctor found it a challenging task. The cut on the man's neck was shallow and hadn't hit any major arteries or the windpipe. However, in their current state of medical scarcity, keeping him alive would still be difficult. He had already lost a significant amount of blood. More critically, the bone knife, which Eagle Eye had used in his hunting days, could carry all sorts of bacteria. Infection was a real risk. This scene had already gone too far. Eagle Eye and the leader had achieved their aim. With Lu Xinrui's drastic example, others would think twice before causing trouble. And judging by the man's terrified state, he likely wouldn't dare seek revenge against Lu Xinrui anymore. As the saying goes, the soft fear the hard fear the ruthless, and the ruthless fear those who don't fear death. In this hierarchy, Lu Xinrui was undoubtedly one of the ruthless ones. The man was hard, and most others in the camp fell into the soft category, naturally fearing Lu Xinrui. The impact of this incident was more significant than Eagle Eye had expected. Due to the celebration the night before, the morning's work was cancelled. When Eagle Eye arrived at the gathering site in the afternoon, he saw Lu Xinrui sitting with the concubine, while many others whispered and pointed at her from a distance. Though they hid it well, Lu Xinrui, still sensitive from the previous day, could feel their piercing gazes. She had tried to ignore them. Before coming, she had hesitated, unsure if she should continue working today. In the end, she decided to come. She had anticipated this situation. She had confidently told Yanzi, "What others think doesn't matter to me. I'll just pretend they don't exist." But Lu Xinrui quickly found that ignoring the judgmental stares was not easy. Before yesterday, the looks she received in the camp were mostly kind. Everyone took care of her because she was young. Now, when she glanced around, all she saw were wary, guarded eyes, as if she might lash out at any moment. The concubine tried to make her laugh, but how does one smile? Lift the corners of the mouth, squint the eyes a bit, exhale yes, just like that. No problem. Don't let this setback knock you down. When Eagle Eye, Ah Shen, and Tiagi arrived, they set out to gather as usual. Lu Xinrui was somewhat comforted that those she was familiar with hadn't changed their attitudes toward her. Even the special treatment she had previously disliked was now a relief. The only sting came from Tiagi avoiding her gaze. More accurately, he was secretly observing her but looked away whenever she noticed, just like everyone else in the camp. Previously, Lu Xinrui wasn't particularly close to Tiagi. They had barely spoken, and if not for being in the same team, she wouldn't have known his name. Names, whether real or not, seemed to create a sense of connection. Lu Xinrui tried to ignore the camp's scrutinizing stares. After all, she didn't know their names. But when Yi did the same, it felt like a betrayal. Well, they were just strangers placed in the same team. Lu Xinru restrained herself from looking at him again and focused on completing the afternoon's gathering work. All she wanted was to return to the treehouse she shared with Yanzi and sleep deeply. She was exhausted, not just physically but mentally. Dragging her feet heavily, she was about to head back when Eagle Eye called her aside. "Zirui, you." Eagle Eye hesitated, carefully choosing his words as if handling fragile glass. "If you're tired, you can." "No, I'm not tired," Lu Xinru interrupted him. She knew what he was going to say. Go back, rest well, and don't work for now, but that would only make her feel more useless. Eagle Eye smiled wryly and suddenly ruffled her long hair. "You, don't be so tense, otherwise, you'll snap. I just wanted to ask if you remember what you said yesterday afternoon." "Which part?" Lu Xinru asked, confused. "Didn't you ask me to teach you how to protect yourself?" Eagle Eye exaggerated his surprise. "You saw how busy I am as the gathering team leader. I might not have much time to teach you, but there's a place where you can learn." "Where?" Eagle Eye scratched his head. "I mean, would you like to join the hunting team?" All day, Eagle Eye had been watching Lu Xinru. After all, it was his idea that led to this situation. He prided himself on his insight more than his intelligence. As a former chief trader at a securities firm, keen insight was crucial. Previously, he applied this talent to investments, discerning stock and futures trends, and spotting opportunities to make money. Now, he used it to assess people and situations, strategizing for the camp's future. He had to admit he wasn't an expert strategist, so his plans weren't flawless, occasionally resulting in problems like yesterday. But the camp lacked specific talents, forcing him to fill this role temporarily. He clearly saw Lu Xinru's mental state throughout the day, including the invisible barrier between her and Tiayi. She was trying to be strong, which was evident, but that wasn't the most concerning issue. What truly troubled Eagle Eye was her mental state. She was becoming neurotic, likely influenced by the camp's judgmental stares and Tiayi's actions, becoming overly sensitive to everything around her. When someone becomes neurotic and sensitive, they are prone to hysteria, with potentially severe consequences. The priest's suicide was a vivid example. Eagle Eye didn't want to see her end up like that. So, how to solve this? After much thought, he came up with a solution. Lu Xinru's neurosis stemmed from the camp's judgmental stares and Tiayi's actions. The simplest solution was to remove her from their sight. Hiding her in the treehouse might work temporarily, but she couldn't hide forever. Besides, her personality wouldn't allow it, so why not join the hunting team? As a former deputy leader of the hunting team and now the leader of the gathering team, Eagle Eye knew that the hunting team members, due to their dangerous work, were more open-minded than most in the camp. These were people who lived for the thrill of hunting and exploring, likely to appreciate Lu Xinru's ruthlessness. Moreover, the hunting team worked mostly outside the camp, effectively avoiding interactions with other camp members. The drawback was the high casualty rate among the hunting team, particularly among novices. Experienced members knew how to avoid risks effectively. But this issue seemed trivial when he noticed a tiny tear mole under Lu Xinru's left eye that hadn't been there in the afternoon, a sign of stress. As mentioned before, Eagle Eye prided himself on his keen insight. He could tell that Lu Xinru's personality would surprisingly fit the hunting team's work. Besides, Bear could look after her. As for the ban on women joining the hunting team, that was the least of his worries. Rules were made by people, and the leader had the final say. The most crucial factor was Lu Xinru's willingness. As he expected, her previously dull eyes reignited with a spark at his suggestion. "Okay,